Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hope that the public can hear me. I don't know what's been going on lately, but I've been unplugging my microphone a lot, which becomes problematic. And now my camera is all jacked up. I am like a very odd color. We'll get to that
Yeah.
once I throw to someone else. Or by throw to someone else, I mean throw to you. What's up, everybody? Friday, strategy show. Off to a fantastic start so far. 13 games. Yeah, Jake, you're live, dudes. Oh, I knew I was live. I just wish that I could have stopped that 2 minutes or 2 seconds into it when I immediately removed my microphone. Yeah, Josh is blue. Yeah, it's whatever, guys. It's Friday. Leave me alone about it. 13 game slate ahead of us. Dan Strafford and I talked a little bit about this slate last night on the early bird, which was fun. I really like the pitching up and down. There's interesting arms in every sort of tier. And more than anything, I'm just happy that yesterday is over. I was just talking to Adam before we started. Ariel Jurado, 8 innings, 10 Ks. Nope. 8 innings, 10 hits, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, 6 runs. He got a complete game bonus on DraftKings as the losing pitcher giving up 6 runs. He scored less than 10 points. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a single-digit complete game.
That's
like single fantasy point complete game. I mean,
that is hard to do, and yet here we are. So, congrats all around. Here's another fun fact of something that happened yesterday, just in case you're curious about how awful the slate was. A 5-lineup train from the same person, the only 5 lineups that they entered, took the first 5 spots of the mini-max last night. Yeah. Like 12 grand or something like that in a contest where, it might be like the most difficult contest to win in DFS just because of the amount of entries. Like there's 60,000 people in it. This guy ran 5 lineups, all the same lineup, and hit the nuts. I got nothing, man. Then one person finished 6th, and then another 4 lineup train finished 7, 8, 9, 10 from a different person. The only 4 lineups that they put in. How do you compete with that?
Yeah, nice night for them.
Yeah, that's an understatement. I can't even imagine. Top lineup in the $15 on DK last night. 4-man White Sox, 3-man Rays. Garrett Cole, Ross Detweiler is the combination you're going to need to show the success. That's what happens when Ross Detweiler puts up 29.7. Garrett Cole with a totally pedestrian 41.95. Man, the Tigers stink.
Yeah, they do. The Detweiler thing, just kind of a reminder, though, of how valuable cheap pitching is. Like, especially if you're playing 150 lineups, obviously no one's pointing to Detweiler as like a top play. But if you can just mix and match cheap pitching on slates where there's, on bigger slates, you're going to normally find 1 or 2 guys that just have good games, and it's so valuable.
Yeah. All right. I'm no longer blue. Dabba-dee, dabba-doo. That was terrible. I shouldn't have done that. MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. If you're looking to check out Awesemo Plus, now's the perfect time to do it. Football is nearly upon us. If you want to get all of our NFL content, the rest of baseball throughout the playoffs, NBA in 2 months, 2 months from yesterday, I believe. Seriously, cannot wait. Soccer projections will be out for tomorrow. No MMA this weekend, so I'm not having to worry about that. Not too shabby. Just so much content from every angle. And also, if you want to watch me lose in golf, you can do that too. 13 games today, but we have 2 things that I need to touch on first. First and foremost, we're sponsored by Yahoo Sports. Everybody knows that at this point. They're the presenting sponsor of this show, of the Early Bird, and of the Deeper Dive, which Adam and I will also be on later today. If you want to get started at Yahoo, I'm going to drop the link in now to Emacs Yahoo specific article. Instructions at the top for how to sign up, and if you use the promo code Awesemo, you can get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. Emacs got some stacks, some individual hitters, some pitching, where you can get your lineup ready to be built. Plus, at 1 p.m. Eastern today, myself, Jake Hari, and the boss man, Alex Baker, will be doing our Yahoo-specific strategy show. So come check that out as well. Trying to get Slack open here. That's something to talk about. Doesn't seem like it'll open, which is just perfect timing for me. But I have a very fun plug for today. Murder this Slack window. Get back into it. Got a little bit of Yahoo news that I think people will be interested in. Did you see that this morning?
I did not.
Okay. So, got a little bit of a plug for everybody. Let me grab it here. Got it now. Finally back into Slack. So, Yahoo has a partnership with the NFL. Starting this season, you can stream your live local and national NFL games in the fantasy app for free. So all you'll have to do is open up the Yahoo Fantasy app, no matter what carrier you have, doesn't matter at all. You can stream your live local and national games, NFL games, inside the app. So wanted to talk about that quickly. That's probably like the first time anybody's going to hear that. So fun. Definitely check it out. I know that I'll be using that to probably cast to my TV. Oh, we got a lot to talk about today. I just hope the slate goes better. Anytime I mentioned this before we started with Adam, the highest scoring team was the Nationals yesterday with 88 fantasy points. White Sox at 86, Cards 77, Astros 74, Tampa Bay 72. On days like that where a team does not break free, it gets so ugly at the top. And that was yesterday. I mean, having a stack was really not all that appealing in hindsight. You know, Howie Kendrick gets 26, James McCann gets 21, Moncada back in the bigs after, I mean, how long was he out?
Probably like a month. I'm not sure.
I feel like he's been gone since like May. I honestly don't know. I mean, I clearly don't pay too much close attention to the White Sox. Moncada homered, so Jake got a dong. Austin Meadows homered, so I got a dong. But Tampa Bay clearly underperformed against Baltimore. A letdown day all around, so I'm ready to wipe that slate clean and dive into this one. Do we have ownership yet? I assume we do.
What did you say?
I said, do we have ownership yet? I assume we do, and we do. 932. Let me grab that and we can get started. But let's actually just get started. You ready?
Yep.
Pirates and Reds first game up. Basically a coin flip game, 4.5 runs for each. Mitch Keller for the Pirates, Anthony DeSclafani for the Reds. I can't imagine that Keller is the guy we want here, but let's look at DeSclafani first. $39 on Yahoo, $7,200 on FanDuel, $6,800 on DK. Strikes me as a pretty tough spot to want to go to DeSclafani. The lineup right now has 4 lefties. That's really the only way you need to tell if you want to roster DeSclafani or not. How many lefties are in the lineup? Do you think you want to use DeSclafani here against the Pirates?
Yeah, nice price tag and nice park shift for him, but tough lineup. Not a lot of strikeouts for Pittsburgh. A lot of lefties, and like you said, it really just comes down to how many righties is DeSclafani facing. But why are we not on Mitch Keller?
I don't know. Should we be? Doesn't seem that appealing to me. Talk to me about Mitch Keller then, I guess.
He's really good. I mean, he's cheap. His stuff's nasty. The matchup isn't great against the Reds, and there's a lot of pitching on the slate. So it's not like I think I'm getting 60% or anything like that. But really good strikeout stuff from Keller, a top prospect. He's affordably priced. I'm more interested in Keller than I am in DeSclafani.
I am not really interested in either guy. Keller right now, 7% ownership on DraftKings. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels like a wholly unappealing spot to get either guy.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 28% strikeout percentage at AAA this year, and he's 6,600.
I like a guy that's just slightly priced ahead of him, like a lot more. So I don't get the sense that I'll be getting to Keller with any sort of regularity. But I do have crunches run, so I might just be talking out of my ass.
Figure out who you're possibly talking about.
Really?
I mean, unless it's Velasquez for 1,200 more.
Folty?
Oh, I'll take Keller.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I would much rather have Folty in this spot. How deep do you think Mitch Keller goes in this game?
Hang on. Let's say I assume he throws like 90 to 100 pitches.
Okay. Are you still looking something up? I have no idea.
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay.
I mean, he averaged 5.4 innings per start at AAA.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. He's not grading out all that well for me, and Folty is now that he appears to be functional again, I guess.
Yeah, Folty grades out pretty well for me too. I just have Keller a little bit higher.
And then it's not out of the realm of possibility that Desclafani ends up being like a decent play if the Pirates run out some sort of stupid like 8 righty lineup or something.
Yeah, I mean Desclafani's cheap enough that he's viable, but I would put him behind Keller and behind Folty.
Oh. Any interest in the bats on either side of this game?
Lefties from the Pirates. Frazier's a good value. Colin Moran's a good value. Josh Bell is expensive, but obviously has a lot of power.
The Reds are 16th in ownership on FanDuel, 11th on DraftKings. Pirates 13th and 22nd, so neither team really picking anything up. I just feel like this game is essentially a cross-off for me. I don't really want the hitting. I don't really want the pitching.
Yeah, I expect Keller to be my highest owned guy from this game.
I get it. I don't know. Is Keller in a better spot than Desclafani?
Yes.
Oh. Alrighty, let's keep it moving.
Right? I mean, the Pirates are like the worst matchup, one of the worst matchups you can get.
That's true. I don't know. I just can't get a feel for that game. Can get a feel for this one, though.
Keller's just a guy that I roster pretty much every time he pitches.
Okay. Orioles and Rays. 4.4 run implied total for the O's, 5.1 for the Rays. I don't know if that's true. I don't think that was the line this morning. Is the total... Oh, okay, the total's 11. Yeah, that's not true at all. I took a stab at it. Got to 9.5. Turns out it should probably be 10.9.5. Ty Block going for the Orioles. Trevor Richards going for the Rays. Do you have any interest in Richards?
Not really, because of the pitching around him. Like, it's an okay matchup, and he threw 71 pitches last start, so I assume that you get something like 85 to 90 here. But he's still more expensive than Fultonevich and Desclafani and Keller. Not to mention guys down at the bottom. He's only $400 less than Velasquez, so it's pretty tough to get to Richards for me.
Jimmy Bloomfield thinks your Keller take sucks because he has a 2.1 whip.
Good to know.
Yeah. That tells me everything I need to know. If there was ever one stat that I could just grab thinking, this will tell me the full story of a pitcher, it would be whip.
In 21 innings.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine? Oh, God. It's going to be great.
Yeah. 60 grade fastball, 55 current, 60 future curveball, 50-60 command. He's terrible.
How did he not get less walks and hits in 21 innings? I don't get it. I don't get it. I got nothing.
He's going to be a really good pitcher. Like, I'm really excited for him the next couple.
Ooh, Mr. Bloomfield doesn't seem to be liking me now either for pointing it out. Oh well.
Not liking you is completely understandable.
Right, exactly. Who? Shannon Lambert came in with who looks at whip? Incredible. Yeah, no pitching for me in this game. Are we going back to the Tampa offense to be let down again?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Ty Block's never been good. The Orioles are just using him as a guy to eat some innings for the rest of the year, and now he pitches in Camden Yards instead of San Francisco, so I expect him to be even worse than he has been for most of his career.
What is Ty Block's whip, though?
3.8? I don't know.
I'm going to get brutalized by the Rays again tonight, but the good news is they should be owned less than they were yesterday slightly, so that's fun. I don't have to have as much as I did yesterday to lose. They're my number 5 stack right now. They're coming in second in ownership, but I'm more than okay with getting to Tampa again. It's just too good of a spot against a garbage pitcher and a fantastic hitting park.
How does Ty Block not give up more power? Like, going back to 2017, he has a 161 expected ISO to righties and a 121 expected ISO to lefties, but he struck out 13% of righties and 11% of lefties.
I don't know how that happens. That's
the expected number, so it's not, the answer isn't San Francisco.
Right. I've got nothing. Any interest in the Orioles bats against Richards?
Mild interest.
Yeah.
They're expensive. Like, the guys that you would want, you're paying a premium.
VR 5,200, Mancini 49, Nunez 46, Santander 42.
Santander is also 42.
Not familiar with that person.
DJ Stewart's a nice value, but he'll probably be hitting like 7th.
Yeah. I'll get a little bit of Baltimore. I seem to get a little bit of Baltimore always.
I never do, even on the slates where I like them.
They're like perpetually 3% owned for me across the board. It's just like, I don't know, set in stone. Favorite Rays bet?
DR,
I'm with you. Just because of the eligibility at catcher.
Yep.
I love Meadows, but you can find $5,100 outfielders pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, I would say it would probably be D'Arnaud or Aguilar.
This guy wants to know why he's getting ripped alive for this. Because you quoted whip on a pitcher with 20 innings. Is that not obvious? I don't need him to like win me a game in the ALCS. I want to know how many people he's going to strike out relative to his price tag today.
Yeah, and I mean also in general, just saying that one of the top pitching prospects in baseball sucks because of that whip.
Yeah. We didn't even respond before someone else was like, "What?" Out of Cedar. Wow. Mitch Keller out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa looks exactly like Mitch Keller out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
What?
He looks, if I said draw a 23-year-old man from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, he looks like the template for a person that would live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Oh, okay. Now I'm following. I didn't know what you were talking about.
I pulled it up and I was like, that's him. I think we can keep going. Indians and Royals. 5.2 run implied total for the Indians, 3.9 for the Royals, 63% chance to win for Cleveland. Zach Plesac going for the Indians, Jacob Junis going for the Royals. Plesac got to 7% ownership. Otherwise, these two guys are completely unowned and probably should be.
Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument for Plesac because the city does have a pretty bad lineup, but Plesac's strikeout numbers really haven't been very good in the majors. He's been pretty disappointing in that regard, actually. I thought he would be better quicker than he has been, and he hasn't. And there's enough pitching around him. Like, Velasquez is obviously a better option for 600 more. You can get better strikeout upside by going to Fulte or Keller for less. So I think it's going to be pretty tough to get to Plesac, even though Kansas City does only have a 3.8 implied run total.
Yeah. I'm just happy that I'm probably not getting to Jacob Junis. That's all that matters to me.
Do you normally?
In a weird way, yeah. I don't like it. It doesn't stop happening sometimes. Usually he's in like the low 6s, and that's when I get tough. Indians, 4th in ownership on FanDuel, 8th on DraftKings. Royals, 20th and 15th. You looking to target any Indians bats here against Junis?
Yeah, doesn't strike out a lot of guys, gives up power. Lindor and Ramirez's price tags both jumped back up after they were reduced yesterday for Syndergaard, but I think they're both pretty decent options. Yasiel Puig also maybe goes a little bit overlooked, but obviously has a ton of power, hits right-handed pitching really well, and Junis gives up homers.
I'm going to get to Lindor. I'm going to get to Puig. Ramirez. Franmil Reyes, $2,500 on FanDuel, $9 on Yahoo. Those are cheap enough prices to try to buy home runs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say his price tag's really appealing.
9 on Yahoo I really like. I'm anxious to see if we get to him at all during the Yahoo show at 1 o'clock. Royals bats. Anything standing out to you?
The three righties at the top, the problem is just that they're expensive. If you can find them, I'm looking across the sites now. Like if they're cheap anywhere, then obviously they become more appealing.
Merrifield is,
$13 for Merrifield on Yahoo, 18 for Dozier, both really appealing pricing. Plesac gives up power. Dozier and Soler in particular have tons of it. The reason I don't get more of those guys is because third base and outfield always has a million options.
Yeah. The $13 price on Merrifield on Yahoo is really appealing. 23 for Soler is less so. Not that it's bad or anything, just a lot. Especially when you can get, Franmil Reyes for 9. Now, Whit Merrifield is certainly better than Franmil Reyes, better than oh my god, what am I saying, man? Jorge Soler is certainly better than Franmil Reyes, but maybe not for $14 more. Favorite bat in the game?
Either Lindor or Ramirez, I guess.
I just get so much Lindor.
If I had to call a home run from this, I think it would be Puig. It would be Puig, Soler, or Dozier.
Who's the highest guy I have in this game? Soler is tops in my home run model. So I'll go Soler.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else here. I'll have some Indians.
I feel like there's going to be like several home runs in this game. I just don't know that either team scores a ton of runs.
It'll be Brett Phillips, Tyler Naquin, Greg Allen.
But I mean, just like looking at it, it's just like there's a lot of really good home run spots.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, lefty power plays up in Cleveland. So, if we can see Lindor, Santana, Jose Ramirez, they should all look pretty tasty. All right, finally, we could talk about pitching here. Real pitching. Mets and Braves, 4.3 run implied total for the Mets, 3.2 for the Braves, 62% chance to win. Jake DeGrom for New York, Mike Foltynewicz going for Atlanta. We'll start with DeGrom, most expensive pitcher on, I believe, 2 of the 3 sites. He is actually behind Lance Lynn on Yahoo. Do you want to go all the way up to DeGrom here against Atlanta?
I'm happy with whatever DeGrom that I get, but it's different than the last couple of days. Like I don't expect to be jamming DeGrom into lineups at the expense of whatever it takes, like I was with Verlander and with Cole. It's not a great matchup against Atlanta. DeGrom obviously is the best pitcher on the slate in terms of talent, has the highest strikeout percentage at 31%, but the mid-range on this slate's deep enough. There's enough strikeout upside elsewhere, whether it's Flaherty or Velasquez or Keller or Folty or whoever. There's a lot of good strikeout pitchers on this slate. So in tournaments, I'm not sure how much I actually pay all the way up for DeGrom.
Okay. I'm kind of in the same boat. Whatever I get, I get. Right now on the dummy crunch that I ran, I'm basically with the field. I don't hate it. It's just Atlanta scares me, but their run total is nothing.
Yeah. We have them at 36% on DraftKings right now. My total guess, because I haven't crunched anything, but my guess is that I come in under that.
Yeah, I would have assumed you would have said you were in the 20s somewhere.
Yeah. If I had to guess right now what my DeGrom ownership is, I would guess like 15%.
Okay. He is 54% owned on Yahoo, 33% on FanDuel. Let's touch on FanDuel. 33% for a pitcher on a 13-game slate is a pretty massive number, especially when he's the most expensive pitcher.
Yeah, I'll say, especially when he's not mispriced.
Right. Like, I would have thought Barrios would have got a little bit more love considering he's 8,800 and in that spot. I don't get the sense that I'll get all the way up to 33% on DeGrom. Again, I don't mind if I do. It's Jake DeGrom. He's fantastic at pitching, but that seems too high on FanDuel. I don't know. Bolte. He's $32 on Yahoo, essentially unowned. $7K on FanDuel, essentially unowned, and 18% on DK. I'm basically matching the field right now. I have 19%. This is the spot that I want to be in, this sort of mid-tier. Below Velasquez, he's the guy that I like the most. You seem to not like him as much?
I just hate taking guys against the Mets. They don't strike out. Adding Joe Panic to this lineup made it even harder to strike them out. He has like a 9.8% strikeout percentage, but Rosario is below 20%. Alonso is at like 22. Conforto is just shy of 20%. Davis, I think, is 21 or 22. The only real strikeouts in this lineup are Lagares and the pitcher. And then if Ramos isn't, an upgrade there, but it's just a brutal strikeout matchup, and they have good hitters on top of it.
I don't know what else to do in that area. I mean, I know your answer is fucking play Mitch Keller, but
yeah,
moving down this path, I just see, Lyles, Junis, Plesac, Trevor Richards above him, Desclafani in a bad
yeah.
spot.
I like Folty more than all those guys, and I'll get him for that reason.
Okay.
I just hate this matchup. I felt the same way yesterday about Savali.
Yeah.
It was just like he's a good play at his price, but this matchup sucks.
It is not a great matchup, and I do generally prefer getting to Mets than, like, I haven't been stoked about having Folty this season, but I think this is going to be that spot where I'm there. Although I don't know if the benefit of me being with the field on Folty at that spot is really worth it. If Keller's at 7 and Desclafani's at 1, and nobody else is really picking up any ownership.
Yeah, that's a spot where I really think that those guys are all similar.
Yeah.
Like I said that Keller's my favorite, but it's not like I have him miles ahead of Folty or Desclafani,
Right.
and they all have upside there. Desclafani is definitely my least favorite out of the group, but if the ownership comes in at 18, 7, and 1, I think that I'll probably end up just like around the field or underweight on Folty and then being overweight on the other guys.
That seems like probably the better way to do it. I refreshed my FanDuel Crunch just to get those exposures in to my sheet. Let's talk offense, I guess. Do we want anything here? Mets against Folty? I can't imagine we really want to get to the Braves against DeGrom. No ownership going to anybody really in this game. So
there's nothing really that I feel strongly about offense-wise.
Yeah. Conforto, and that's it for me.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not that spot. I can't believe how low the Braves implied total is. That is a testament to how good Jake DeGrom is. I can't imagine the Braves have had a 3.2 run implied total all that often this season.
Yeah, that's really, really low.
It's the lowest I have today. And the second lowest? That has to be a typo. There's no way that's the correct line.
Second lowest, the Angels and the Rockies.
I think I might have flip-flopped some numbers on this Red Sox game. Yeah, I entered the Colorado line into Boston. I was like, there is no way Boston is projected for 3.2 runs. That is nonsense. They were in a much different order when I was typing them in than like the betting site was showing me compared to my schedule. Like, dude, there's no way. I was like, who died for Boston? 114, 105. Blue Jays line that's fine. Colorado's is right. Yankees is right enough. Just get this updated now before it looks even more ridiculous. All right, I got the total right, so kudos to me. All right, almost there. Perfect time for everybody to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Coming up later today, We'll have the Yahoo specific strategy show at 1 p.m. Myself, Jake, and the boss man, Alex Baker. Adam and I will be back at 4:45 to talk this slate once again. And then live before lock, Chris Baggs and Jake Hari closing you guys out up until 7. Alrighty. Next game. Moving pretty quick through this stuff. There's really not a lot to talk about. Until now. Marlins, 3.9 run implied total. Phillies, 5. It's a 62% chance to win for Philadelphia. Hector Noesi going for the Marlins. Vince Velasquez going for the Phils. Noesi's at 9% ownership right now on DK. Let's start there. Do you anticipate paying down for him here against Philly in Miami?
Yes, just because he's 5,200. He has decent strikeout stuff. It's a good pitcher's park.
That's it? Is there a third thing?
What'd you say?
I didn't know if there was a third thing coming. Yeah, I got to 20% actually.
Around him, I prefer him over Sheffield. I prefer him over Block. I prefer him over Suarez. I prefer him over Lambert. So, yeah.
Noesi playing the role of Ariel Jurado in my lineups today. Went so well yesterday. Come on, complete game garbage. Now, Velasquez, 18% owned on Yahoo, 6 on FanDuel, 19 on DK. That's the same number that I hit. I think it's really hard to find a guy in this middle area in a better spot than Vince Velasquez.
I expect I'll be way over 19 on DraftKings.
Oh, I expect that I will be too as we get closer to lock. It's a pitcher again. It's a right-handed pitcher against the Marlins in Miami. I don't even really need to know the name most days.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he also happens to have the 6th highest strikeout percentage on the slate.
Yeah, he's never been afraid of mowing people down. And his only issue ever is basically lefty power, something that the Marlins are essentially devoid of.
Right.
Unless you're expecting a gigantic resurgence from Neil Walker. You shouldn't be expecting that, by the way.
You should not. And yeah, there's just not a lot around him. I think Dylan Cease is a really interesting tournament pivot, but Velasquez is clearly the better projected pitcher.
Yeah, Cease 1% owned right now, so he'll be an easy ignore for me other than like very specific spots. Phillies, 9th in ownership on FanDuel, 4th on DraftKings. That is mostly just Rhys Hoskins on DK. 22% owned right now. I have them as my number 7 team. Are you trying to target against Noesi or trying to target these Philly bats in Miami?
I kind of doubt that I get to a ton, especially if they're popular. 5.2 implied run total is reasonable, but it's not like it's off the charts or hard to find other teams that are there. The ballpark's not favorable for hitting. Hoskins' price tag's really affordable. So is Real Muto. So is Dickerson. So is Segura. So, I mean, I understand why they will get some ownership, but I think Noesi's decent. I think the park is not great. I think a lot of my Phillies exposure will depend on what the field's projected to do.
Okay. I can't imagine we're going to Marlins bats.
Diaz is a pretty solid value.
Dude, this Jimmy character, man, go find a different show or something, brother. LOL, Keller a stud, and Cease is an easy ignore. One of those guys is 7,900. The other is 6,600.
Also, quote the same person. I said Cease was interesting.
Yeah. And
I'm the one that said Keller is a stud. So, yeah.
Circling back, he mentioned, are we really going to act like Cease isn't a better prospect? Yeah, that's fine by me. Mitch Keller, 42nd in FanGraphs prospect rankings. Dylan Cease, 46th. So we're not acting like we're going to act like there's a big gap between those the opposite way, because it doesn't appear to read like that. And we are definitely not Chris Baggs and Jake Hari, so let me fix the ticker.
I'll also take Keller over Cease long term.
Yeah, so would I. Higher ceiling out of Cease, I would say, just because not a lot of people are going to get a 70 fastball.
Yeah, it's just a matter of command for Cease.
Yeah. Cease certainly has like the better raw materials, I guess.
Keller stuff is just nasty though. Like Keller's got a really good fastball still, and that curveball that can play off of the high fastball is just nasty. The problem for Keller is that he's on the Pirates.
Why is that a problem?
because he's going to throw 70% fastballs for his entire career.
Oh, I see I see where you're going with that. I was picturing it like just pitching in Pittsburgh, and I was like,
No.
I mean, that seems like a pretty good spot. Like righty power dies, it's neutral to lefties. Should be good.
No, it's a pitching
Organizational thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah, I honestly think Noesi is going to be the guy that I have the most of here, just because I don't love much at the bottom. I certainly don't love Peter Lambert or Jose Suarez or Ty Block. Noesi kind of just stands out for me. It scares me to go up against Philly, but oh well. The park will help.
I'm just not sure how much I'll actually have to get to that range when I can go with, Velasquez at SP1 and then one of the Keller, Fulte, Desclafani guys.
I think I'm going to end up with more DeGrom now that I'm seeing the way like crunches play out.
Also, like Flaherty plus Velasquez only costs $17K.
Yeah, that is really the issue. That whole Lynn, Barrios, Flaherty, even Greinke to an extent area is just kind of easy to get to with anything. We will get to all of those guys shortly. Favorite bat in this game?
I guess Hoskins because of the salary, but
yeah,
I'm also not convinced that he remembers how to hit a baseball.
Fair enough. To the Astros we go. Houston 5.7 run implied total. Angels 3.4. 72% chance to win for the Stros. Zach Greinke, probably a little bummed that he didn't get to take a stab at the Tigers, going for Houston. Jose Suarez going for the Angels. Greinke, 9% owned on Yahoo, 5% owned on FanDuel, 24% owned on DK. Jose Suarez, not owned, nor should he be. What do you want to do with Zach Greinke here against the Angels?
Not roster him. I don't think I'll get there. He's just he's a good pitcher, but he's not a great strikeout pitcher. 23.3% for the season. Tough matchup against the Angels. It's just really tough for me to ever want Greinke over Velasquez for less or Flaherty for a little bit more.
I got to him. He's going to be the first guy that I dig into after the show to see why it's popping as much as it is. Because I don't generally like to target against the Angels, but their current projected lineup does have some strikeouts in it. It's got the gap in strikeouts in Fletcher and Pujols, but if Max Stassi is in there, that helps out Greinke tremendously. Jay Up striking out a ton. I'm going to take a look deeper into Greinke. I hope that I'm just under, and if the ownership holds until this point, there's just enough guys around him that I would pivot. There's no way we're getting to Suarez here, right?
I don't plan on it.
Okay.
I'd rather just roster Noesi or Lambert.
Astros bats, 5th in ownership on FanDuel, 6th on DK. I have them ranked 4th. I'm happy to get to the Astros again. You and I talked about it a little bit after, or post-lock, or heading up into lock yesterday, where I was able to get to them. They're just so damn expensive. It's really hard to do it.
I'm distracted because I'm looking through the MLB pipeline top 100, and I can't even find Dylan Cease while Mitch Keller's 26th.
Huh. Incredible.
But it is really weird that I can't find Dylan Cease, so I might have just missed him. Like, he should be on here somewhere.
Control F, man.
I did, and it came up with 0.
Yeah, well, maybe you're right.
But
what do you want to do with the Astros bats?
No, I mean, I want to roster the Astros. Suarez isn't great. Like, he's 22. Maybe he'll be good at some point, but not great strikeout stuff. And the Astros obviously are really good. Abraham Toro is in the player pool now, which at least on DraftKings, which is nice. Yeah, $7 on Yahoo.
I was gonna say he's in across the board.
Yeah, $7 on Yahoo. So if you can actually get a cheap Astros bat with their incredibly expensive pricing on the rest of the guys, he's a good hitter. So he's someone that I think you can use for value in stacks, and it'll help you, get decent pitching with the Astros.
Chirinos, $7 on Yahoo. The fun catcher play for you, getting some ownership. I would like to get to more Astros, and I'll probably have to manually put them in there. It's just a really tough thing to do when the first 6 guys are all over 5K. I mean, that's probably like the most expensive I've ever seen a lineup that isn't in cores. For a top 6 guy, or for the top 6 guys to get them all over 5K, just playing in Houston like a normal game.
Yeah, it's gonna make it so while individually some of these guys are popular, like Bregman in particular, and then probably Altuve, the full stack probably won't be that popular because people just aren't going to want to roster the pitching they'll have to roster.
Yeah. Although today it's probably pretty easy. Like ignoring thoughts and stuff, is a Noesi Vince Velasquez or like Vince Velasquez Folty combo really all that rough to get to Houston?
I mean, people want to pay up for an SP1.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with you that I will have lineups that I really like because I'm fine taking cheap pitching.
Okay,
but
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You just mean in general.
Yeah.
Okay. Any Angels bats against Greinke, so they are getting no ownership whatsoever. I think they probably should get a little bit more.
I don't think I'll get there. 3.4 implied run total.
What do you think of Ohtani for 4,900 unowned?
He's always a good tournament play at low ownership, but there's just so many good outfield options that aren't facing Zach Greinke in a pitcher's park.
It's fair.
Like, the only thing really that Houston park-wise does for batters is give up home runs to fly balls to left, and so you would prefer right-handed power as well.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that I'm going to be getting to Angels, even though they're probably going to be one of the more under-owned teams to me just in a vacuum. It's just going to be too much risk, I think. Do you have any interest in them if Greinke really is getting 25% ownership? That would be the only other piece.
No, not really. There's 13 games on the slate, so I just don't want to get there.
Okay. Twins and Tigers. This one will be a good one to talk about. 4.9 run implied total for the Twins. 3.5 for the Tigers. 66% chance to win from Minnesota. Jose Barrios going for the Twins. Drew Verhagen going for the Tigers. Man, you just can't get enough Drew Verhagen today. 25 ownership for Barrios on Yahoo. 17 on FanDuel. 17 on DraftKings, where he is 10K. Not the same sort of strikeout guy as Lance Lynn, who we're going to get to in a little bit. But this is the best matchup in baseball right now. And it's happening, Twins Park is essentially average. What do you want to do with Barrios here? 10K is a lot. But, he's very clearly worth a $10,000 price tag, unlike a lot of pitchers in this league with the last name Gray.
I'm really interested to see where I get to on Barrios because it's obviously a really, really good matchup against the Tigers. He's a good pitcher, but he's not a great strikeout. 22.7% strikeout percentage, which puts him just behind Eduardo Rodriguez and, Mitch Keller and Greinke. Like, he's not great at getting strikeouts, but it is a really, really good spot. The reason that I'm not sure how much I'll get to is that Flaherty's a little bit cheaper, and I love Jack Flaherty. 17% ownership on DraftKings, though, is pretty appealing. I think that my guess is I end up around 20% on Barrios.
Barrios is also only 8,800 on FanDuel. That's the 6th highest price tag on anyone. He has the 2nd most ownership behind DeGrom. He's very much more in play on FanDuel, as evidenced by the ownership.
47 on Yahoo's appealing also.
Yeah.
$6 less than Lynn, 4 less than DeGrom.
Understanding that he's not like the most fantastic strikeout pitcher on the slate, there's not a limit to the amount of Barrios I would want against the Tigers just because the floor is so high, or at least should be so high. He should be able to run through this lineup like a hot knife through butter.
Also pitching at home, and for whatever reason, his entire career, he's just been better.
Yeah, like if I ran a crunch at 7 o'clock and had to take whatever came out, and it said 50% Barrios, I'd be like, okay, that's great. I can deal with that.
Right. Like, I don't think that'll happen, but I wouldn't care.
Right. The Detroit's just so bad across the board in everything they do.
Like, below average hitters who also strike out.
Dan and I talked about it on the pod last night. I think that the worst Twins hitter in the lineup is better than the best hitter in the Tigers lineup.
So Jake Cave versus
Good luck picking.
Goodrum.
Sure.
I'll take Goodrum, but
You froze a little bit there. You said I'll take Goodrum, and then it froze.
I mean, I understand your point.
Yeah.
It's
close. It's really close. We looked at it. I think that JK, I think that whoever was last in weighted runs created plus for the Twins was just like a point or two ahead of whoever was tops for the Tigers. But man, that's gross. That is so gross. I really like Barrios here. It's hard not to. Who's your favorite cash pitcher at the top?
Flaherty.
Okay. I think I would go to Barrios just because of this matchup. I was just curious to see where your head was.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with Flaherty either, by the way. So
I think all four guys up at the top are like you can make good arguments for them. I just love Flaherty.
That's fair. I have 3% more Flaherty than I do Barrios right now, so it's not as if I disagree. Let's talk Twins bats. Third on FanDuel, fifth on DraftKings in ownership. They are my number 2 team of the day. What do you want to do with these Twins bats?
Roster them.
Yeah,
Verhagen. What'd you say?
You and me both.
I can't hear you.
You and me both.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, Verhagen's nothing special. Tigers' bullpen's not any good. Twins are really good. Hopefully Rosario's in the lineup. But, obviously just a really deep lineup. And with the exception of Nelson Cruz, they're affordable too.
What is the total on this game?
I'm seeing like 10.
I'm seeing 8.5, 10, 9.5.
Yeah, I'm seeing like 10 or 10.5.
Okay. Pinnacle right now per Sportsbook Reviews odds page has 8.5, which is what I have in here right now, which is making the Twins look not as appealing. Because I looked at it and I was like, how the hell do the Twins have a 4.9 run implied total against Drew Verhagen while healthy? But if it's 10, then that total is 5.6, and it looks exactly right.
Yeah, every site listed on Vegas Insider has it at 10 now. It opened at 9.
Let me see if the feed to Sportsbook Review is just dead right now and not grabbing the correct total. Because Pinnacle did redo their odds page recently. They don't even have it. That explains a lot. Why would they take that game down? Yeah, ultimately, I love the Twins. There's not a Twin bat I don't want. I mean, I don't really want Luis Arias, but that's neither here nor there. Oh yeah, Boyd it was supposed to be Boyd. That's what's changing, and that's why it's not on there. That's why the total is 8.5 in my sheet. This was originally going to be Boyd.
Okay. He's he just got back from paternity leave, right?
Right. We talked about it last night like it was Boyd. Chris Carver in chat, thank you for reminding me there. So yeah, that is why the line will go from 8.5 to 10, because Matt Boyd and Drew Verhagen, just a hair different.
Yeah, a little bit different.
We also talked a little bit about Boyd last night. How sad do you think he was when the trade deadline passed?
Yeah, that's not that can't be fun.
Had to be brutal. Oh, cool. The next 2 months are gonna suck.
Yeah. He's probably sitting there I will waive 50% of my salary, just get me off this team.
I would have just been like, can I just go hang out with my baby for the next 2 months?
Right.
Okay, then I like the Twin. Jimmy Bloomfield bringing out an actually good point here. They're priced like they're facing Matt Boyd.
Yeah. They are really cheap except for Cruz.
Yeah, and all things considered, don't mind grabbing him in a stack.
Oh, not at all. But where Houston, full stacking Houston, forces you to take some not really comfortable stands with the rest of your lineup. The Twins don't even do that.
Ooh, GQ. Brace yourself for this. I wish it was Boyd so I would love the Twins bats even more. That's a shot directly at you.
Yeah, can we just kick that guy out?
You want me to?
Yeah, just treat him like Justin Verlander does the press.
I love it. Favorite Twins bet?
Cruz, Cruz, Kepler, Rosario.
All of them in the top 5.
Yes, I do want me to name the whole team.
Yeah. Any Tigers?
No.
Correct. Brewers. Diamondbacks, 5.4 run implied total for the Brewers. 4.7 for the D-backs. Jordan Lyles going for Milwaukee. Merrill Kelly going for Arizona. Lyles got to 9% on DK. Do you want Lyles or Kelly?
No. Lyles would be the one that I prefer, but not a ton of strikeouts in the Arizona lineup. Also, a lot of left-handed hitters, and it's a pretty balanced lineup, but a lot of lefties towards the top. Probably 5 lefties in the top 6, and we prefer Lyles against right-handed bats. Just better strikeout stuff with the platoon advantage. So I don't anticipate getting too much of Miles, and even less of Kelly, who doesn't strike guys out, has a tough matchup against Milwaukee, and gets a downgrade going into Milwaukee.
I love the Brewers here.
Really, really solid values on that team too.
Yeah. And again, the same sort of scenario, Yelich at 5,900, but you're not mad to pay market price for guys like Yelich or Nelson Cruz.
Well,
I don't need Keston Herrera to be 5,500, but
right, but it also keeps his ownership down.
1%
like
right now.
Grisham's a great value. Grandal's a top catcher value. Moustakas' price has come up a bit, but he's still a solid value as well.
They are my number 2 ranked team. Actually, that is not true. They are my number. Why is that showing 2 here? Rank. It's rounded. I get it. So Brewers are technically my top ranked team, just like a hair ahead of the Twins, but I want both of those teams a lot. And I will make the adjustments to get there. Do you have a favorite Brewers bet?
For value, Grisham, but Grandal when you factor in position.
Agreed. Got to 2x the field on Grandal right now. He did have my highest exposure cap when I ran the crunch. That I do remember. I'll never be mad about that. Any Arizona bats against Jordan Lyles?
They're just really expensive. I would have interest in Marte or Escobar, but they're really priced up. So I think David Peralta is probably my favorite.
I didn't get to anybody more than 4% in that crunch.
Yeah,
$3,800 Jake Lamb, I guess.
Yeah, he's reasonably priced. Yeah. So is Peralta.
$7 for Lamb on Yahoo. Dyson 2,700 on FanDuel, I guess, just if he's in the leadoff spot. But I don't have a ton of interest in Arizona. How bad is Lyles against lefties?
Hang on. This season, he's struck out 21.6%, 355 expected WOBA, 202 expected ISO.
Okay. Yeah, I like Jake Lamb as a sneaky home run pick.
Yeah.
Best I can do.
His actual numbers are even worse. Lyles, 408 WOBA, 288 actual ISO.
Brendan Burns just said, Jake Lamb is going to break the slate tonight. The fact that I know this is happening makes me sick.
I didn't hear what you said.
Brendan Burns said, Jake Lamb is going to break the slate tonight. The fact that I know this is happening makes me sick. But wouldn't you, like, if anybody, like, he's the kind of guy that could hit a double dong in the spot in Milwaukee, no problem.
Yeah, I would say Peralta and Lamb are my 2 favorite Arizona bets.
Yeah. Okay. White Sox and Rangers. Hated this game yesterday. Didn't know what to make of it. I feel a little bit more comfortable today. Lance Lynn, slightly different in talent level compared to Ariel Jurado and... who the hell pitched for the White Sox yesterday?
Ross Detweiler.
Yeah, and he went crazy. Perfect. 3.9 run implied total for the Sox, 4.7 for the Rangers. Is that right? Is it really in the 8s?
9.
Is indeed. Dylan C. says we had mentioned previously going for the White Sox with absolutely no ownership across the board. Lance Lynn, 21% owned on Yahoo, 10% on FanDuel, 12 on DK. I am over the field pretty handily on FanDuel. I have 25% Lynn. In the 20s on DK as well, where he's 10-5. What do you want to do with Lance Lynn here against the White Sox?
Really happy with whatever Lynn I get. He's been incredibly good this season. 27% strikeout percentage, 6.7% walk percentage. His K-minus BB percentage is tied with Paddock for 3rd best on the slate behind DeGrom and Flaherty. He's been really good. It's a good matchup against the White Sox. Strikeout numbers not quite as good against lefties as righties, but the lefties in this lineup don't really matter. And actually, I said not quite as good, not even close to as good. Striking out 20% of lefties compared to 35% of righties this year. But still, a really good spot. The pricing, like you said, on FanDuel is really affordable at $9,700, except for Berrios still being $900 less. Makes it tough.
I'm in for Lynn. I'm happy to get there. I'm happy to spread that out. Like, there's just so much pitching at the top. Everybody seems to be getting similar ownership outside of DeGrom. That's the only piece that I'm do I just want to go massive on Lynn, Berrios, and Flaherty and call it a day on DeGrom?
Kind of what I assume I end up doing.
Okay. Cease for $30 on Yahoo. I like that price tag.
So do I.
I mean, it's not as good as Mitch Keller at $26, but you can only be so good compared to Mitch Keller.
Right. The thing that's really interesting for Cease is if you look at his matchups, he's had some tough matchups. He's gotten Detroit twice. He's gotten Kansas City. So obviously those are pretty appealing. But one of the Detroit games and the Kansas City game were in his first two career starts. But since then, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, the Mets, Houston, the Angels, really, really tough strikeout matchups for him. The stuff's really good. This is one of the better strikeout matchups he's had. I don't like him as much as I like Velasquez, but if Velasquez's ownership were to increase as the day goes on, like if our 630 ownership update has Velasquez on DraftKings at like 40% and Cease down there at like 2 or 3, it becomes really, really interesting because the stuff is clearly there.
I'm going to have a real hard time paying $7,900 for him, but 64 on FanDuel and the 30 tag on Yahoo, those are the places where I'd be willing to get him. I see no need to pay $7,900 for him today.
The only reason I think it's interesting is because that salary range is so dead, and like the only real quality option is Velasquez. But Cease has the ability to beat Velasquez, a reasonable percentage of the time.
Yeah.
Like I clearly prefer Velasquez, and I assume that I'm going to just be contrarian enough with my hitters that I get a bunch of Velasquez. But
agreed. I don't expect to get the Cease here. I wouldn't mind like 5% on FanDuel though, just because of his stuff. Like strikeouts can come.
Right. The most likely outcome is that his pitch count gets really high because he's striking guys out and walking guys, and he doesn't go super deep into the game, and he has kind of like a mediocre outing. But
he gives up a dong to Willie Calhoun and Rougned Odor. White Sox bats, 21st in ownership on FanDuel, 18th on DraftKings. Do you want any against Lynn?
No. Moncada would be like the only one that's mildly appealing, but not really that interested.
Rangers bats, 8th on FanDuel, 9th on DraftKings. You trying to target against Cease?
Not really. They're not cheap. Yeah. They're not good. Like the Santana's 5,500. Choose 4,700. I just have other plays that I like more. It's not like it's a bad spot for upside, but only a 4.5 implied run total. Not a lot of good hitters in the lineup. I'll probably just take my chances on other teams.
I have to look something up quick. I really don't know the answer. Okay. I was wondering like how good Hunter Pence is this year. Because he's 5,400 and I feel like he's been in the 5K. He's 129 weighted runs created plus this season after a 59 last year.
Yeah, he's definitely been good.
Yeah. Favorite bat in the game?
True.
Yeah, same. Elvis Andrus, $9 on Yahoo. All right, 4 to go. Now you get to do what you were looking to do. Cardinals and Rockies. Here we go. 5-run implied total for the Cards, 3.5 for the Rockies. Jack Flaherty versus Peter Lambert. We are not rostering Peter Lambert. I would imagine Jack Flaherty, 31% ownership on Yahoo, 8 on FanDuel, 19 on DraftKings. Talk to me about Flaherty in the spot.
I just really like Flaherty. He's got the third highest strikeout percentage on the slate behind DeGrom and Paxton. He's been really good all season long against right-handed hitters, and he's struggled against lefties, but he's made improvements lately against lefties as well. For the season, 33% strikeout percentage against righties, 23 against lefties. But over his last, I think it's like around 10 starts, he's increased his slider usage to left-handed hitters, and it's caused the strikeout percentage to increase. It's caused him to be a lot more, just a lot better. So while I would prefer that the Rockies just run out a lineup with a bunch of righties, I don't anticipate that happening. But the changes that Flaherty's made recently make me confident in him even against lefties.
Yeah, I'm going to have a bunch of Flaherty. It's just another arm at the top in a good matchup that looks tasty. And 9,400 is just too cheap for him. He's good. I don't really have anything else to add. Like, I'm going to get him, and I have no idea ultimately where it's going to end up between DeGrom, Lynn, Berrios, and Flaherty. It's just going to be a bunch.
Yeah. The only thing that like scares me is that it's a good matchup as far as run prevention goes, but it's not the best strikeout matchup with Blackmon, Arenado, Murphy all in the top four. But then you probably are going to get McMahon, Desmond, a pitcher, Story. So it's still a pretty solid spot.
Strikeout prop set at 7.5. The under -160. I have him projected for 6.8, which feels about spot on.
Yep.
Cardinals bats 7th in ownership on FanDuel, 10th on DraftKings. They're pretty cheap for a matchup against Peter Lambert. I don't have much interest using, or I don't have much problem using them as like the value stack.
No, me neither. Lambert obviously gets a park upgrade getting out of Coors, but still projects to not be that great. And the Cardinals are cheap, so I'm with you. Maybe not the highest probability stack, but there is some pretty solid value there with DeYoung, at shortstop as a really good option.
Yeah.
Goldschmidt is, of course, a good option at first base. So I'm with you.
Got the question: how is Flaherty 6% on FanDuel? He's actually 8% on FanDuel. But I assume the question stands, and because Lance Lynn is cheaper than Flaherty, and because Jose Berrios is $1,100 cheaper than that.
Yeah, Flaherty's real tough to get to on FanDuel.
Yeah,
just because of the other guys.
Would you rather have Lynn or Flaherty on FanDuel?
That's really close. Probably Flaherty.
Okay.
But I'd rather have
Berrios at 8,800 trumps them both.
Yep.
Just
$42 on Yahoo is a really solid price tag too.
For sure. But I would rather have him there. I mean, especially with Lynn at 53 there. Favorite bat in the game?
What'd you say?
Favorite bat in the game?
Goldschmidt.
Same. Padres and Red Sox. 3.9 run implied total for the Pods, 4-1 for the Sox. Chris Paddock versus Erod. Eduardo Rodriguez. Chris Paddock not really getting any ownership. Erod not really getting any ownership. I don't have a huge issue with Erod, but I don't plan on getting to him. Are you going to be getting to any pitching here?
It's a really weird game, I think. I think Erod's good. I think Paddock is good, but I don't like Erod as much as I like Flaherty. I don't like him at his salary as much as I like Velasquez at his. So I just don't anticipate getting to a ton. He's just, I think, priced where he should be, whereas some other guys are underpriced.
Yeah, I can't get to anything here with any sort of volume. Like, I got the 5% Paddock on DraftKings. That's going to be the extent of it. Offense. Padres not really picking up too much ownership on FanDuel. DK, you get Ty France getting to 16%. That's about it. Red Sox, unowned. I would like to get to some Red Sox here. Not that I want to target against Paddock, but this is just another one of those spots where they're unowned.
Yeah, I'm never opposed to getting to low-owned Red Sox just based on talent. That being said, I don't know that I will because I do think Paddock's really good and the park isn't great, but I'm not going to be upset if I do.
Yeah, like I have them ranked 9th. They're at 23rd in ownership. So you don't really have to do anything to get to them. If I have like 4 to 5% of all those bats at the top. That's what I'm looking for, and that's not really impacting my day. But they can't be a primary stack here against Paddock.
Right.
In San Diego. 2 to go. Dodgers and Yankees. 4.6 run implied total for the Dodgers. 3.9 for the Yanks. It's Hyun-Jin Ryu going for the Dodgers. James Paxton going for the Yanks. No real ownership going to Ryu. 8% on Yahoo is the high number. Paxton 8 and 11 on Yahoo and DraftKings. Is pitching coming for you here? I mean, Ryu seems impossible to get to given everything else that's at the top.
I feel really similarly about this game as I do about the Red Sox and Padres game.
Yep.
I think Paxton is mildly interesting at 9K, but still compare him to Flaherty, compare him to some of the mid-range guys, and I don't love it. You know, it's I prefer lefties against the Dodgers because most of their good hitters are left-handed, but Paxton also has struggled with left-handed power throughout his career. So hasn't been the case this year. He struck out 30% with a 119 expected ISO, but still just kind of tough matchup. And I have Flaherty projected higher. I have Velasquez as a better point per dollar option.
Yeah, I'm not going to have any pitching here, but I don't mind it. They're clearly, well, Ryu's certainly good. James Paxton is, I don't know what right now, but
Good after the first inning.
right. Offense, essentially unowned across the board. Are you looking to stack up either side of this game, Dodgers or Yanks?
They both fall into the same as the Red Sox. I doubt that I get to much. I'm fine not getting to much, but I also never am upset if I get to low owned Yankees or Dodgers. But tons of respect for Ryu, tons of respect for Paxton as well.
Yeah, I didn't get to anything here. Nothing more than 3% on an individual hitter, so it's just not for me. Judge is $11 on Yahoo. Gary Sanchez is $12. I mean, those are things that I want to point out, but not a great spot for offense. Good offensive players, just tough matchup.
Yep.
Final game, man. 13 games quickly.
I feel like that happens when there's really good pitching.
Yeah, there's only so much you could talk about. It just eliminates half the field of bats. Mariners and Jays, 4.6 run implied total for the Mariners, 4.9 for the Blue Jays, 52% chance to win for Toronto. Justice Sheffield going for Seattle. Trent Thornton going for the Blue Jays. No ownership going to either guy. Do either of them stand out to you?
I think they're both decent point per dollar plays, but they're not at the top of the list for me. Like, I'd rather roster Noesi than Sheffield. I'd rather roster any of the Desclafani, Keller, Fulte group over Thornton.
Yep.
There's plenty of strikeouts for Thornton against Seattle, but he is much better against righties than lefties, and they're going to run a lot of lefties out there against him. They also just saw him recently, which is something that normally I don't really care about. It doesn't affect projection enough to worry about it. But the reason that it kind of scares me for Thornton is that he's got like a really weird delivery where I feel like a big reason for him having success at times is just deception and it being weird. So kind of scares me that they did just face him.
You ready for this one?
It's just like a YouTube chat comment or
no?
Oh.
Blue Jays, number 1 in ownership on both FanDuel and DraftKings. How do you feel about stacking up the Jays here against Sheffield?
They're super cheap.
Yes, they are. And loaded with right-handed power.
Yeah, I get it. If they're going to be the most popular stack, I am pretty confident I'll be underweight, but I definitely understand it.
Yeah, I love it. I wish that Justice Sheffield was an actual legacy with that name. Just going up against Biggio and Guerrero and Bichette, like the rest of the crew. We like watching. It's just great for us taking a trip down memory lane.
I wish Justice Sheffield's numbers at AAA this year were better than they were.
Dude goes deep into games though. Lots of 7 innings, 8 innings. Throws a lot. I was really surprised by that.
Sheffield?
Yeah, I think it was Sheffield.
He's averaging 4.5 innings per appearance.
Maybe it wasn't Sheffield. I pointed somebody out on the pod last night. I could have swore Sheffield was throwing a ton of innings.
He's 55 innings and 13 appearances, 12 starts at AAA.
It must not be Sheffield. No, 7, 8, 7, 6, 6, 7, 7, 7, 6, 6. recently throwing a lot. He was not throwing as much early in the season. A lot of 1s and 2s and stuff that are changing it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like he had 2 2/3 June 1st and 7th, an inning and 2/3 the 13th, but recently 6 5 2/3, 6 7 7 7 1/3, 6 6 7 8 7. Yeah. So I mean, again, I do think he's a actually pretty decent point per dollar option. If with Toronto getting so much ownership, Sheffield I guess becomes a little bit more appealing. I still would rather just get Noesi though.
Yeah, same. Which I did.
I still would really rather just not get any of those guys.
Same. Not like I'm really having Hunter M was hoping Jays were overlooked. Yeah, they got overlooked all right by being the chalkiest stack of 26 teams today. Slipped right through the cracks.
I mean, it totally makes sense, but it's also a park downgrade for them. They're not the most consistent offense or anything. It's a 4.8 implied run total. It's not like we have one of those 7.2 totals, and it's just like, how do I get away from this?
The problem is they don't ever put anybody on base.
I mean, they're better now since they actually have their good hitters in the lineup, but still.
What is their walk rate this year?
Also, you get smoke from his worst side of the plate.
Wow. I would not have expected them to have a 12% walk or a 9% walk rate and be 12th in the league. But the 91 weighted, I mean, they just can't hit 91 weighted runs created plus for the season for their active roster. Just every home run I feel like they hit is a stupid ass solo shot. Yeah, they obviously fill out lineups really well. It's so cheap. Do you want any Mariners bats against Thornton?
Wow, Kyle Seager is up to 5,100 on DraftKings. Narvaez is interesting at catcher. Vogelbach is decent, but Seattle's just kind of expensive for what they offer.
Yeah, I don't have much interest here. It's trying to figure out what the Blue Jays ownership ends up being and where I end up will be the key piece of this game. That's all we got, man. In and out in an hour and 15. We will be back at... Well, we might not need that extra 15 minutes, but we'll take it anyway. We could probably dig in with a little bit more granularity as we get closer to lock in terms of actual strategy and handling the way that ownership is coming out.
Yeah, and I'll have a dummy crunch done, so I'll be able to... I'll know where I'm actually at instead of educated guessing at it.
Isn't every crunch you make a dummy crunch?
I get it.
That's the best I could do today. Alrighty, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Jake, Alex, and I will be back at 1 p.m. talking Yahoo strategy. And then we'll be back for the normal dual show from 5 to 7. Anything else, Adam?
Deep dive will be out sometime between like 2 and 3.
There you go, guys. Thank you for joining us on this final weekday of the week. You guys all get Laffy back starting next week, which is great for me because I'm going crazy. I'm sure you're ready to stop writing the deep dive every day. It's going to be good stuff.
Yeah.
All righty, everybody. We'll talk to you later.